It's like, how creative can you be with your reach out? Because in this market, it's absolutely shit. So 500 applications. And if you just submit your resume and a portfolio link, are you really going to stand out? Come on, right? There's talent everywhere. You really need to set yourself apart. And the best way to do it is be proactive and think around ways to reach out.
Chris, what do you think is some of the value of that growth? Do you feel like it's the content that you have created that has contributed to that growth? Do you have any ideas?
Yeah, honestly, I don't know. It definitely has been a series of experiments. Love looking at what others are doing and what others are trying and trying it. And if it works, we'll try it again. If it doesn't work, we'll shift. So it's a constant moving kind of target where it could be algorithm based, it could be timing. There's so many different variables. So we just try and focus on what works. And if it excites us, then we'll put it out. We'll be like, oh, this hasn't worked before, but it's dumb. Should we try it? I think if it's not fun, then why do it in the first place? So yes, you should stick to things that might work, but continuously push whatever the bar that you've set yourself as. I do want to add to, yes, you shouldn't really care about these numbers to an extent. A lot of folks do care about it. If you're working with, let's say, sponsorship, it does add some credibility. Of course, you can get closed bigger deals and stuff like that. So like from that business side, it does matter. But in terms from like a personal effort side, it doesn't mean that you didn't try or that you suck. So you need to kind of balance that like emotionally and separate like the signal from the noise, as it were.
That's fair, for sure. And so what about, you mentioned sponsorship. What, if
Hmm.
anything, might be helpful if you are pursuing some sponsorships of your brand?
Yeah. So I made this mistake. I just waited for inbound, right? And I let the sponsors come to me because basically I didn't know that our follower of 20K on LinkedIn is big enough to get sponsors. So when I started getting sponsorship, I was like, wow, this is pretty cool. And the first person I worked with, I charged them literally nothing and did everything on all the platforms. And then I slowly increased my price over time and did less because if they want you to do more, they should pay for it. But at the beginning, it's okay to do like a great job and to really put yourself out there and just help the brand. And even now, I'm still raising my prices. If someone has paid X amount, I'll be like, okay, cool. Now that I've validated that someone would pay me for that, I'm just going to increase the price. So don't be afraid to increase your price. And you'll know quickly that if you filled up your inventory, say you have like 2 posts a week or 1 post a week for sponsors, if you fill that up like a lot, then by all means raise your price. This month, I completely packed out my inventory and I actually had to have more. So I was like, okay, this is such a good reason to increase your price and say, okay, I'm going to take on less work, but hopefully make more money from it. Then the other thing is you have to learn how to cold DM and email, right? Nobody's going to knock on your door because they just don't know about you. So you're going to have to knock on other doors. Then you have to think about, what does this brand care about? You might not have the biggest audience because there's almost always someone with a bigger audience than you. But what you can do is be professional, provide a report after your campaign, give them the metrics of your previous campaigns, give them the logos, tell them your approach, show that you actually know what you're talking about. Because at the end of the day, if you're a content creator, you're basically a media business, right? You're creating content for yourself or for the niche that you're in. But really, if you're generating revenue of it, then 9 times out of 10, other folks would be like, okay, can you help me push this product or service? And then, therefore, you are this marketing agency, right? So you have to know what metrics matter to them, and then also how to get eyeballs on that content, and then ultimately lead to converting someone, right? So a lot of content creators don't think about this. They just think about writing, personal brand, whatever. Of course, opportunities is really far on the horizon, but if they can actually reframe that and think about this media empire that they're building based on their face and name, that should hopefully excite some, but also scare some people. But you end up learning a lot of this stuff around does that mean? Because I'm sure Richard Branson wasn't a content creator. His face is associated with media and personal brand and all that stuff. But I'm sure he thinks about his empire a lot as well.
Right. And I think that's a good point, Chris, that I don't know that people are like, I need to create content. It's a gradual kind of falling into it. Hey, maybe I should post something on Twitter. Well, guess what? You're creating content by doing that. I don't know that people deliberately think I need to be a content creator.
I don't know. I would push back. I think a
Okay.
lot of kids, yeah, I think a lot of kids want to be YouTubers because it's so glorified. It's so glamorous, right? These TikTok people are traveling all over the world. I think that the kids growing up nowadays, or so I've heard, I don't have kids of my own, but, and I'm not hanging around high schools, by the way, guys, but I've heard that, yeah, that's replaced astronaut or fireman or whatever. I can't remember where I heard it, but it is, I think, a viable option for a lot of people or younger folks that think that it's the best thing. I could just play video games, stream it, and make a bunch of money. So I would definitely say, I don't know about that. I don't think folks potentially a bit older think about it like that, but I think younger folks have completely opened their arms and be like, yeah, content is a thing. And that's why I make TikToks all the time.
That's fair. Absolutely. And I think a lot of what you talked about, Chris, with the strategy of getting a sponsor and showing your value and cold calling relates to, I'm guessing, what you're discussing in your UX playbook too, by being your own business as a designer. So a lot of similarities there.
Yeah, absolutely. With the job sprint course, it's very much about that. It's like, how creative can you be with your reach out? Because in this market, it's absolutely shit. So 500 applications. And if you just submit your resume and a portfolio link, are you really going to stand out? Come on, right? There's talent everywhere. You really need to set yourself apart. And the best way to do it is be proactive and think around ways to reach out. Really easy way is if you literally put a deck of 5 slides together, record yourself on Loom, make it 2 minutes long, and send that with your portfolio, or put that on your portfolio, like the website, as the hero video. And that immediately you've made more effort. Immediately that's a little bit more personal. They can see your face, they can see you talk. Like things like that, I think folks need to get a bit more uncomfortable instead of just the old ways. Yeah.
Wow, that's a great idea. I hadn't heard of that. Sending out a recording along with your resume. Wow.
Check out all my interviews with industry leaders on Blatz Chatz.